on the same day that you found out that you're getting inducted into the Hall of Fame, you're also the torchbearer for the 2002 Olympics.
Well, you've done your homework.
So I wanted to ask you a little bit about that. How was that? How was that day? How did you feel? You know, it was just such an exciting day, and I just wanted to ask you a little bit about that.
I was very tired because it was a long day, you know, and actually I got a chance to run the torch 3 times, you know, so I've had a chance to do some wonderful things in my career and my life when I look back, and sometimes you don't have time to stop when you're going through the process, but since I've retired, I've had a chance to look back on some of those things, and they're wonderful memories that I have, and to carry the torch 3 times was very special, and you get to keep the torch, you know, so I have those in my trophy case.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. That's awesome. Is that where you keep your gloves too?
Yeah, I have a case where my gloves, my torches, and all of those are on display in my home.
That's great. That's great. And I know that in the same year, 2002, you also found out that your statue was getting placed outside the Busch Stadium in St. Louis to honor your being a Cardinal, and I just wanted to see how that felt too, because that's such a great honor.
Well, you know, here again, it's sort of like being a Hall of Famer and sitting on the stage up there during Hall of Fame weekend. It's so surreal because I never looked at myself in that light as being a Hall of Famer, and you know, when they start doing statues of you, it means that you've accomplished some pretty special things in your life, and the Cardinals, with the great tradition that they have with Stan Musial and Bob Gibson and Lou Brock, Red Shanedeans, to be a part of that is very, very special.
I know that you're known as Wizard of Oz because of your spectacular fielding ability, and I just wanted to ask you if there's somebody that's playing the game now that you like to watch.
Well, you know, I always focus on the shortstop position because, you know, that was the position that I played, and you know, people always ask me who I think is the best, and I've kind of gotten away from trying to say who I think is the best. You know, all of the young shortstops, we have a core of young shortstops now who are very, very entertaining. I saw some replays the other day of the kid in Atlanta who is more of a prototypical shortstop. And when I say prototypical shortstop, I'm talking about someone who is not a big guy who hits the ball out of the ballpark, but his defensive prowess is what's most important. I think most of the teams are starting to realize. I think they've realized it, but being able to implement it has been the tough thing. Implementing playing good defense, getting back to playing good, sound, fundamental defense, and that always starts with the guys in the middle. It starts with pitching, but the guys in the middle, from the second baseman, shortstop, center fielder, catcher, and pitcher. I think more teams are getting to that. I think the teams that are winning their divisions right now are teams that are doing that pretty well. Atlanta being one of those, Cincinnati being one of those, and Texas Rangers, I think, is a very good young team, up and coming, who have
They're having a great year.
They're having a great year. They have a young shortstop over there that's playing very well. So, you know, I think we're getting back to it. For a long period of time here, we've had such big guys playing the position because it's been so offensive oriented. But I think we're starting to get back to the fundamentals of what it's going to take for a team to win on a consistent basis, and that's playing good, sound, fundamental defense, getting timely hits, and not necessarily depending on the long ball.
Ozzie always struck me as a good person, a team leader, and a good guy for Major League Baseball.
Yeah, a lot of fans were actually asking me to ask this question: who you, other than yourself, of course, who do you consider to be the best shortstops of all time?
I don't know. You know, when I came up, I enjoyed playing against and watching a guy by the name of David Concepcion with the Cincinnati Reds, who was probably the mainstay, but there were so many Hall of Famers on that team that somebody was bound to get left out, and Davey was one of those guys. He, to me, was really the glue for that team. The guy that I got traded for, Gary Templeton, was another very, very talented player. He's one of the only guys to this point that I think that has ever gotten 100 hits from both sides of the plate. He was one of those 5-tool players. Barry Larkin, another guy who's very well-rounded players, and I think that in the era that I was playing, that was the goal of every player, to be as well-rounded as you could be. I didn't want to be noted as a one-dimensional player, and I worked extremely hard at becoming a more rounded player, and I think that by the time I retired in 1996, I was a pretty well-rounded player.
Who are the players in this year's All-Star Game that you're looking forward to seeing?
Well, I mean, no one in particular. You know, you got your mainstays. You know, your Derek Jeters are guys that you know what you're going to get every day. Albert Pujols. I'm hoping that I'm keeping my fingers crossed that the National League finally gets back to our winning ways. You know, because when I started playing in the '80s, we were on pretty much the same type of streak that the American League is on now. And, you know, getting back to that is very, very important. And I hope that we can get back to the point of where we don't need an incentive to determine where the World Series is going to be played.
One of your dubious distinctions is having the most at-bats without a grand slam.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just wondering, what are your accomplishments that you're most proud of?
I don't know. Just being able to play 19 years in the big leagues is quite an accomplishment, and I only played with 2 teams. It's very hard to find guys now who spend their whole career with one team. You know, you can count on one hand the number of guys that could play that can say that they played on one team. You know, Kirby Puckett is one that comes to mind. Cal Ripken. Derek Jeter, you know, are guys that come to mind that spent their whole career with one organization, and that's really a feat in this day and time.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's kind of sad that it doesn't happen more often.
Every day he would come out. I sit in left field bleachers, and I would holler, "Ozzie, I love you."
I know that you had a chance to go to the World Series with the Cardinals 3 times, and I just wanted to see if you actually thought you played for one of the best teams of all time during that Cardinal era.
Yeah, you know, 1982 was a very special year for me because, you know, we were able to win it all. We beat a very good Milwaukee Brewer team in 1982, and we were fortunate enough to go back again in 1985, which we lost to the Kansas City Royals in 7. And then go back again in 1987, which we lost to the Minnesota Twins. There are a lot of people that have been in this game for a long time that never had the opportunity to say, we lost. You know, they never make it there, you know. So having the opportunity was great. Would we have liked to have won it? Yes. But, you know, being afforded the opportunity was much more than I could have hoped for and that I dreamed about. You know, never had any idea that I would make it 3 times. Let alone winning one world championship.
Yeah. That's all the questions that I have for you, and thank you so much for taking your time to do this, and enjoy the All-Star Game. It is such a pleasure to meet you.